Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our show. I am your host, Zainab Abdullahi, a counseling psychologist. We're going to talk about something really important: mental health stigma. Many people around us struggle with mental health problems like stress, anxiety, or depression. But sadly, they often keep quiet because they're afraid of being judged, laughed at, or even rejected. This fear is called stigma. It stops people from getting the help they need. In this episode, we'll talk about mental health stigma, where it comes from, and how we can break it by showing kindness, understanding, and support. Let's learn together how to make mental health a normal, safe topic for everyone. Mental health stigma is when people treat somebody badly or unfairly just because they have mental health condition. This includes negative attitudes. Negative attitudes means tendency to focus on problem rather than solutions. Also, judgments or stereotypes, like thinking people with depression are lazy or that anxiety is just being dramatic. It is important for us to talk about this topic as stigma makes people feel ashamed, keeps them silent, and stops them from getting the help they need. It creates fear, isolation, and can even make mental health problem worse. How do people end up thinking this way and having this ideology? It comes from, firstly, the lack of understanding. Many people don't know what mental illness is, so they believe myth or false stories. Secondly, cultural or traditional beliefs. In some communities, mental illness is seen as a curse, punishment, or weakness. So people hide it instead of getting the help they need. So they don't want to be seen as cursed people. So obviously they will hide it. Thirdly, negative media messages. Movies or news sometimes show people with mental illness as dangerous, violent, or unstable. This builds fear and judgment. Fourthly, hurtful language. Words like crazy, mad, or weak makes people feel ashamed even when they're struggling and need support. Another one is fear of being treated differently. People fear being laughed at, excluded, or losing their job or respect if others find out they have mental health issues. This fear keeps people silent, and suffering in silence can make things worse. There are many wrong beliefs about mental illness. Here are few common myths. So the first myth is people saying people with mental illness are weak. The truth is, mental illness can affect anybody, strong, smart, or successful. It's a health issue, not a weakness. For example, famous and successful comedians have committed suicide. They have money, success, and they were considered strong, but they still took their own lives. Another myth is mental illness isn't real. The truth is, mental illness is a real problem and can affect how people think, feel, and act, just like physical illness affects the body. So the myth that people with mental illness are dangerous. The truth is, most people with mental illness are not violent. They are more likely to be hurt by others than to hurt anyone. Another myth is you can just snap out of it. How many times have you been told to snap out of a situation? If you're feeling sad, you're told, just snap out of it. Everybody is going through it, right? So mental health condition needs care and treatment, just like any other health issue. Nobody can snap out of diabetes. So when you have diabetes, you're not and you go to the hospital, you're not told just snap out of it, you'll get better. You have to take medications. The same way, when somebody has depression, they have to take medication and get better slowly with the help of a practitioner. Another myth is only adults struggle with mental health. The truth is, children and teenagers can also suffer from mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and trauma. Early help is important. There's another myth where they say mental illness is caused by personal sins, curse, or evil spirits. It's good to perform ruqya, but sometimes um, it's not about the gene that has entered somebody's body. Sometimes it's just an illness and they become psychotic. Psychotic means when somebody behave in a manner that is erratic, they get scream, they're violent. So it does not mean all the time that maybe gene has possessed them. So they need a cure, and probably they need to go to see a therapist or a psychiatrist. So mental illness is a medical condition. While faith and spirituality can offer support, blaming somebody only adds shame and stops healing. Another myth is people with mental illness can't work or go to school. The truth is, many people with mental health condition live full lives. They can go to work, they can study and succeed. With the right support, recovery is possible. Mental illness is not a choice. No one chooses to have depression, anxiety, or any other illness. Just like no one chooses to have diabetes or asthma, it's not a matter of just being positive or trying harder. Mental illness can be caused by stressful life experiences, genetics, meaning it's hereditary. So if your dad or mom had bipolar, it's easy for you to also have that, and it's hereditary through them. Another cause can be trauma or abuse. So, overwhelming experiences from childhood or a child being abused when they're young, it can cause mental illnesses. Understanding this helps us treat people with kindness and not blame them. What are the common situations due to mental health stigma? One of the common issues is isolation. A person withdraws from friends because depression makes them feel like a burden, and nobody wants to feel like a burden, so they isolate themselves. Secondly, misunderstanding at work. A worker being labeled lazy for taking mental health days when struggling with burnout. So, somebody going through a situation where they feel like they need rest feels like they're not able to ask for off days because they feel that they might be judged. There is another one that we normally dismiss, and that is a person who is told to just pray more instead of getting help for OCD or any other disorder they are facing. We also face self stigma. A person feels ashamed for needing therapy because they feel that they should handle it alone. How can we break the stigma? Breaking the stigma around mental health isn't a job for politicians or doctors alone. It's a mission for all of us. It starts with simple human acts of courage and kindness. Here's how we can all be part of that solution. We can start off with the media. The media has immense power to shape public's perception. It can either perpetuate harmful stereotypes or be a force for profound good. For example, traumatizing stories that link mental illness solely to violence or crime. It creates fear and distance. What the media can do is help by telling balanced, hopeful, and accurate stories. This means sharing stories of people living fulfilling, successful life while managing their mental health. This proves that these conditions are treatable and that recovery is possible using responsible language. As we discussed, drop stigmatizing labels and using person first language. For example, a person with schizophrenia instead of a schizophrenic. Let me explain more. A person with schizophrenia means a person who has that disease. But saying schizophrenic, it means that you've labeled the person the disease. So you've said that person is that disease instead of saying they have a condition called schizophrenia. The media can also normalize the experience. Featuring mental health storylines in popular TV shows, movies, and news segments make it a regular part of the human conversation, not a scary outlier. Secondly, families. Families are the first line of support. Family is often where we seek our safest haven. A supportive and unsupportive home environment can be the single biggest factor in a person's recovery journey. For example, dismissive faces like just snap out of it, it's all in your head, or you're being dramatic cause deep harm and isolation. Family must become allies in healing. This means educating themselves, taking the time to learn about what their loved one is experiencing, understanding that depression is not just sadness and a panic attack is not just nervousness. Also, shifting the language, replacing criticism with compassion, saying, "How can I support you?" or "Let's find help together" is a game changer. It transformed the dynamic from one of the judgment to one of partnership. Shifting language, the family can shift their language, replacing criticism with compassion, saying, "How can I support you?" or "Let's find help together" is a game changer. It transformed the dynamic from one of judgment to one of partnership. Also, listening with love. Sometimes the best thing a family member can do is listen without trying to immediately solve the problem. So we need the person to be able to solve their own problem, to be empowered to find what works best for them. Another way to help is schools, building a foundation of resilience. Schools are where children learn about the world and themselves. Integrating mental health in education is preventative care on a massive scale. For example, treating mental health as a taboo subject or only addressing it after a crisis occurs, that won't allow people to be okay with it. School must integrate mental wellness into their core curriculum. This means teaching coping skills early, providing age-appropriate lessons on identifying emotion, mindfulness, stress management, and healthy communication. Also, school normalizing all feelings, creating environment where it is safe for a student to say, "I'm feeling really anxious about this test," or "I'm sad today," without fear of being teased or ignored. The schools should also provide access to resources, having trained counselors and clear, easy pathway for students to seek help confidently. The fourth one is workplaces, supporting performance and the people working in the environment. We spend a huge portion of our life at work. A toxic work environment can be a major source of poor mental health, while a supportive one can be a sanctuary for stability. For example, a culture of grinding that glorifies burnout and treats mental health days as a sign of weakness. Company must prioritize psychological safety and well-being. This means training managers, equipping leaders to recognize signs of burnout, chronic stress, and depression in their teams. Managers should be trained to have compassionate, confidential, and conversation and know how to direct employees to resources like employee assistance programs. Also, offering flexible breaks, normalizing mental health days, allowing flexible schedule for therapy appointments, and creating quiet spaces for decompression. Also, leadership setting the tone. Leaders setting the tone. When leaders openly discuss their commitment to mental well-being and model healthy boundaries, it gives everyone permission to do the same. Stigma starts with fear and ignorance, but it ends with love, understanding, and action. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Sadly, many people suffer in silence because of fear, shame, and misunderstanding. Stigma hurts, and it stops people from getting the help they need. Let's change that by learning the truth, speaking kindly, and supporting each other. When we talk openly and treat mental illness like any other healthy issue, we make it easier for everyone to heal and feel safe. We have come to the end of our episode. Thanks for joining me today. Be kind to yourself, take deep breath, and remember, it's okay not to be okay sometimes. You are doing better than you think. Until next time, stay strong and stay grounded. Kindly share your comments and questions on all our social media platforms. Masalam.